All right, welcome back. Uh, we're going to be starting the Lab 2 demos from now. All three of them should be coming out in the next couple of days. Actually, there are four. So I'll be making 4 videos on the next 4 problems. I'm really glad you guys enjoyed the ones for Lab 1, and as always, let's just get started. So, for this problem, I'm gonna stop using the sketch pictures just because sometimes they get really blurry on my screen because the quality of the picture I'm taking, and when you're shrinking it down, SolidWorks just destroys how detailed it is, and the dimensions can get really hard to look at. So what I'm gonna just do is I'm going to tab over to the Word document with the schematic here, and I'll just be doing that. Okay, so taking a look at this, the GSIs, if you worked on this problem in the lab, they had you do it in a way where you're creating planes and extruding off of those planes. I'm not really a big fan of that because it isn't super intuitive, so I'm gonna demo this in a little bit of a different way using something called mates, but we'll get to that. So, looking at this drawing, it might look a little daunting, right? You can't extrude this shape in one step. What you can do is realize that this bottom arch can be a part. This top long piece with the hole in it can be another part. And all we need to do is just make 2 of the bottom and 2 of the top, and then arrange them all together to create this final shape. So we'll get to that once we have our bodies done. So the first step is just going to be extruding these shapes right here. So I'm going to imagine there's a line right here, and I'm going to create this shape, and then I'm going to take these top shapes and make them as well. I'm going to edit this just so this is sped up, just to save you some time, but I will go over some of the things that aren't as intuitive about the sketch process before I extrude. Alright, and we are back. So, I just finished all the sketches that we need to make. So I've got this bottom arch section right here, and I've also got this top part up here. Couple of things to note. The one dimension that isn't shown here that you probably need is this one. So you don't actually have a dimension that tells you how tall this arch is, starting from this line here, going all the way down to the bottom, but you can figure it out by taking this 3.5 inch dimension, which is the height, and just subtracting this 1.25 just to get from there to the bottom. Alright. Otherwise, I think everything is pretty standard. Just make sure that your circles are tangent to your lines, as well as remembering to add this middle hole for this top part. Everything should just look like this, and now we're ready to extrude. So let's get to that. We're going to exit our sketch and extrude both of these sketches. This first one, if we look at the dimensions, it's 0.75. So if we just click here, just type in 0.75, click there. There are no contours that you need to worry about, so just click the check mark. Your sketch isn't going to show up again, but we can have that reappear by clicking this little arrow, clicking the sketch, and then clicking show, and there it is. So this one is not 0.75, it's actually 1.75 minus 0.75, because that's the space in between them. That's 1.75, the distance between them. So that means this has to be 1/2 inch, that has to be 1/2 inch, right? Because 1 inch plus 0.75 that's 1.75. So instead of 3/4 of an inch, we are going to extrude this out 1/2 an inch, 0.5. Don't forget to add the contour, so just click this bottom box here, and then click the inside circle, and that'll give you the hole that you need. Sweet. Click the check mark, and we are good to go. So these are our two bodies that we are now going to put together. One thing of note, we now need to duplicate each of these bodies, right? Because in our sketch, we have 2 of each. So I have this move copy bodies tool put onto my toolbox, but it's probably not going to be there for you. It's going to be in tools, or not tools, sorry, insert and feature. Features is features and move copy. So what we're going to do is we're going to make a copy of each of these bodies. So if we go here, move bodies to move and copy, I'm going to select both of these bodies. Okay. And if you're not on, or if you're on this screen, sorry, click the translate rotate button at the bottom. Your screen should look like this. If it looks like this already, and you have these drop-down bars, that's perfect. So we're not going to need to rotate. So just if you're on rotate, you can close it and open the translate option. And what we're going to do is we're just going to translate these out just so they're separate from each other. So I'm going to translate both of these out 3 inches. And it will give you a preview of what it's going to look like. So that looks good to me. And just click the check mark. Awesome. Now we've got 2 copies of each body. Now the question is, how do we put these things together? We're actually going to go back into the move copy bodies option here, and instead of this translate option, we're going to go to constraints. So constraints are very similar to the relationships that we have in sketches, except they also work in 3D. This allows you to compare geometry on a 3D surface to another 3D surface, and that relationship will allow you to attach different things to each other. And this is huge. This allows us to use like the same thinking that we use with sketches on 3D objects. So you're first going to want to select this bodies to move or copy. You need to select one of the things that you actually want to move. So let's select one of these long pieces here. Then we're going to click Mate Settings. How this works is you're going to select some sort of geometry on one of the bodies and click another piece of geometry on the other body. So let's look at our sketch. We need the back corner of this piece right here to attach to this corner of our first piece. It would be in the back here as well, but just to visualize, this is the top of our first body. It would directly contact the corner of our second body. So let's do that. We're going to zoom in to our first body, and I'm just going to select this point on the corner. There you can see it selected. Next, I'm going to click this point on my first body. What you're going to see is that this piece snapped right onto our other body, and this is exactly what we want. Once this happens, click Add. Just a reminder, this is only going to move if you have the body selected as a body to move. It should be highlighted in blue like this. The only problem with what we have so far is that our body is not oriented the right way, right? It's supposed to be long ways instead of the way it is now. Let's fix that. So one of the more intuitive ways to fix this is to actually click this line right here on the outside face, because imagine this rotating this way. That outside face is going to be there. So as you can see, it has a coincident relationship, which is exactly what we want, but it's facing the wrong way. If this happens, there's this button called Mate Alignment at the bottom. You can click it to flip which way it's working. We want it to be this way. This looks perfect. Click the Add button. Okay. Now the last thing to do is to line up this body with the back of this body, right? So what we can do is we can just connect this point, or this back point, to that back point over there. So click this point on our first body, and just, you might need to zoom in, but just hover over this point on the other geometry. Nothing's going to move yet. Oh wait, that's right. So nothing moves when we click these two bodies, because we have selected this top piece with the hole to be the one that moves. And since it's connected to something else that can't move, it's locked in place. So what we're going to need to do is right click here, just delete that as the body to move to copy. Oops. Actually, you cannot do that. That's right, you have to exit out. My apologies. So go back to constraints. We're going to just re-add these real quick. I'm sorry if I had you guys do that. It's my bad. Just remember, after each relationship you create, you want to click Add. Click Add. I'm going to click the check mark. There it is. And I'm just going to go back into Move Bodies. Okay. Same thing. Instead of using this one this time, we're going to use this body. Click it. It should turn blue. Go into Mate Settings. Click one corner of your first part, and then click the corner of the other part. Might need to zoom in. There it goes. And that's exactly what we want. Click Add and click the check mark. Boom. So this looks awesome, right? We've got this body completely constrained by these other two. Last thing we need to do is do the same thing for, sorry about that, is do the same thing for this last piece. We're just going to go back into this menu here, and I'll just do it this way. We only need to define a couple of things. Click this to have it move. Go to Mate Settings. I'm going to do the line first. So click this line. Click that line. It's going to line up here. It's facing the wrong way. So just flip it. There it goes. Click Add. And all we have to do is just move that point to there. So click here. Click there. And click the check mark. And as you can see, our body is now fully assembled. It looks exactly like it does in the schematics. Perfect. So all in all, I think this was a little bit more intuitive, since you're kind of like using visualization to kind of like attach the pieces to each other. Like, you know, like this line has to line up with that one. That point kind of connects there. It's like more like a snapping and assembly type of thinking. The GSI's method of doing it using planes is also very valid. Like, it just depends on your preference. If you like using these dimensions and stuff to help you figure out, oh, okay, this is 0.75 from the other one, so I'm gonna extend it, then copy the sketch, and then extrude again. That works just as well. You do whatever works the best for you, but I'm just showing you the way that I enjoy doing it because it just makes sense for me. All right, final step. We're not completely done yet. As you can see, we have a line here, and it also tells us we have 4 solid bodies. In most cases, if you're making this, like if you're trying to manufacture this, you need to create 1 body. So what we're going to do is go to Insert and go to Features, and we're going to find this Combine option right here. This is going to allow us to merge all 4 of these bodies by clicking them. Make sure it's on Add, and click the check mark. And as you can see, now this looks like 1 body. That line that used to be there is gone, just like it is in the schematic. And we only have 1 solid body in the solid bodies folder. Awesome. here it is. I know it's getting pretty close to the deadline, so I'll just show the mass properties as well. Here it is. Hope this helped, and I'll get back to you with more videos very soon. Peace out.